I told my mom when I was 16 years old, one day I'm gonna be successful. And one day I'm gonna help a lot of people. I always say this, pay the price today so you can pay any price in the future.
What's your advice to entrepreneurs out there?
Get ready to fail multiple times, because that's what's gonna happen. And if you can't handle that, don't try. Only a third of people can actually make it through entrepreneurship because it's incredibly hard. It's not get rich overnight. It's not a Bitcoin deal and all that stuff. Growing a business is almost impossible. It's going to take years, and you have this horrible decision about the balance of time in your life.
What would you say is the number one reason why people fail?
Lack of brains, lack of effort. They don't do the work, they don't learn, When you walk in the room, when you start a business and you start to talk about somebody, you're never in a vacuum with no competition.
Success is the ability to go from failure to failure with no lack of enthusiasm until you're right.
Every business, I have 5 companies now, we'll do 100 million this year. I started every one of those companies with no money. 0 money, man, just hustle and grit and courage. I've called on people I didn't want to be with. I've done things I didn't want to do, okay? It is not about doing what you love. It's about doing whatever it takes to make your dreams a reality, to be closed and stay closed. If you're not closed on your product, if you're not buying your own product, why would you expect anybody else to? Man, $400 is a lot of money. Your prospect says to you, $400, do it. Listen to me, man. You're 32 years old. You've been trying to save money for 20 years and you hadn't. Do it and do it now. I don't need anything special here. I'm not gonna be empathetic. Quit being stupid, write the check. I don't know if the compliance guy likes that or not, but I know this. Look, if you believe in what you're selling, how many of you believe in what you're selling? Then close the deal. Then close the deal, okay? Learn to close and you'll never be without work. You'll never be without money. You'll have an organization that is booming in affluence.
So picture this. I'm this young kid. I'm scared of everything. I'm a poor immigrant. I look funny. I don't know what to do with my life. And when I came to Canada, there was no English courses. They literally put me in a classroom and I had to learn English right there. By the way, the kid I sat behind, his name was Renee Ott. Hi, Renee, still my friend to this day. So I'm sitting in this classroom. I don't speak a word of English. In 3 months, I pick up English. And I remember this so clearly. The teacher says, blah, 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 and calls me out to answer this question. And I answer it. And she looks at me and she says, are you sure? Now think of this. I'm the geeky immigrant, barely English-speaking kid in the class of 30 kids. Kids are snickering, and she says, are you sure? What do you think I say? No. And I changed my mind. And guess what? I was right. Fast forward many years later, Mark has no fear about being wrong. What I've learned from Mark and many other billionaires is when you walk into a room and everybody knows the answer, the opportunity's gone. You cannot be afraid to be wrong. And what that means is sometimes you're going to make big decisions. You're going to go left when everybody else wants to go right, but that's how you create massive opportunity. If the road you're going down is well-traveled, guess what? There's probably no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. The road that's paved with a pot of gold is barely traveled.
The first question you should ask yourself to be successful is, am I a storyteller? If you're going to start a side hustle, you're going to do it online. You're going to set up a website and then you're going to start shooting videos. I like simple products that people see and visually understand right away what the value is. Am I a person that can look in the camera like you and I are right now and explain, I've got this product for you, and here's why it's really great.
But what if you're not great at storytelling? What if you just want to be an entrepreneur and you want to start a business, you have a product that you love or you've got a passion, can you do that?
Well, you can. You can start hiring influencers. That gets more expensive.
It does.
Because they're good at it. That's why they are influencers. The very best dynamic, though, is when you tell the truth about your business and you connect with people and they want you to succeed.
Yeah.
Do you know any rich people that say, my house made me rich? The things that I invest in today, I promise you will be around longer than Facebook. Listen to what I'm telling you right now, okay? In your lifetime, there might not be a Facebook. This phone right here, how many believe this phone will cease to exist in the next 20 years? There ain't no way this phone's gonna be around 20 years from now. okay? The things I invest in will outlive this phone, will outlive Apple computer. That's the only thing. I go out every day. This is how I think about money. I'm running every day for money. Take care of the kids, get good education for them, fuel the plane up, put fuel in the plane, fly the plane, take care of the plane, wash the plane, invest in my business, right? This is what I'm doing all day long, you know? And then what I'm trying to do really is I'm trying to put this money to use at some point. Okay, I operate with what I call as a 40% point. I'm looking for 40% to save on my income. Whatever it takes, how much money do I need to make so that I have 40% that I can take over here and shove a big giant piece of cake into a deal?
I think it was season 4 or 5. Mark was talking to this entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur says, "Oh, it's easy for you. You've always been successful." Mark says, "What? What are you talking about?" Because nobody remembers my failures. I failed more times than I can remember, but I was right once. I sold my company for $6 billion. You know what? Here's the amazing thing about life. It doesn't matter where we started. If you don't like the chapters in the book that is your life, here's the beauty of it. Turn the page. All you got to do is be right once. People are not going to remember, "Oh, you're the guy that failed 28 times and was right once." You know what people will remember? You're the guy that sold his company for $6 billion or $1 billion. That's the one thing I really took away from that. Success is the ability to go from failure to failure with no lack of enthusiasm until you're right. And when you're right, make it big. You only have to do it once.
What would you say is the number one reason why people fail?
Lack of brains, lack of effort.
Lack of brains, lack of effort.
Yeah, they don't do the work. They don't learn, when you walk in the room, when you start a business and you start to talk about somebody, you're never in a vacuum with no competition, unless you're just extremely lucky. And if there's going to be competition, that means somebody else knows your business as well as you do when you get started. And if you walk into a competitive environment and they still know more about the business than you do and more about your customers, you're going to lose. But most people don't consider that. They don't do the work. They don't learn more about their industry. They don't know even about their business. And so you've got to put in the effort to know more about your industry than anybody else. And that's the brains part, and that's the effort part as well. Because look, if you're competing with me, you better know what you're doing. Otherwise, I'm going to kick your ass. And you're not going to outwork me. And so, the combination is usually what kills businesses early on more than anything.